Check that out. $500 for a very large cryptomeria. I'm at a local nursery and they've got a lot of gigantic cryptomerias that are very expensive. And I feel sorry for anyone who actually decides to buy one of these because, as I have discussed at length in many videos, cryptomeria is plagued by problems here in Tennessee. Especially the many blights like Capitina and Phomopsis and maybe even Cercospora. Like here's more over here. And then the last winter where some negative temps, Fahrenheit, killed all the cryptomerias completely. So there's really no point in investing this much money. And even if you wanted a cryptomeria, you should just buy a small one and let it grow because they're relatively fast growing. Wait 3 or 4 years and you'll have a big one like this. So there's really no point in spending that much money on a tree that's most likely just going to die. Let's look at some other things here at the big nursery that I would not spend money on. Here's a gigantic Liberty holly that doesn't have a price on it, but just a reminder, these were completely frozen back to the ground by -4 temperatures last December, and it could happen again at any point. So you really need to watch out and understand which species of holly you're buying. This is made up of Chinese species, and while there are several really good Chinese species of holly, there are also a lot of species of holly that come from very warm parts of China that cannot tolerate cold temperatures. So the best ones you can get are the hybrids of North American hollies, but the blue hollies actually are a hybrid between European and Northeast Asian, so that can work too. But this is Southern China holly, and there's a whole bunch of different hollies, and you just have to do your homework. I do feel sorry for whoever ends up buying this one. It's probably about $500, and it could just be frozen back to the ground in one season. There we have a regular plain old emerald green arbor vitae for $350. Not even really that big, burlapped and bald. So although emerald green arbor vitae is a reliable species, assuming you keep it watered, a lot of people don't know that deer love to eat this thing. So if someone unwittingly planted this in an area that is frequented by deer, pretty much the entire bottom half is going to be eaten away during the winter as deer get hungry for that sort of thing. And there goes your $350 investment. You can buy smaller ones at Lowe's for much cheaper and just let them grow large. That way, if a deer does eat it, you're not out that much. I guess the general rule is, if a tree is relatively fast growing, buy it small, save your money, just wait a few years, and it'll have a better root structure anyway if you do that. But wow, look at all these. Someone's going to spend a lot of money. There are also a lot of really expensive hinoki cypresses here. And just a reminder that hinoki cypress is susceptible to tip blight here in Middle Tennessee, and they're not cold hardy either. Mine was killed by the cold. So continue to avoid Chamaecyparis obtusa in all of its many forms in Tennessee because it's not cold hardy and it's susceptible to blight. And here's $350 for a pretty large Korean fir, Horstman's Silverlock cultivar. And although I do like this tree and I have a small one, there's no indication that the rootstock is Abies firma, which is a different species. The top is usually Abies coreana, and what you want to get is Abies firma rootstock on the bottom, so it'd be a grafted tree. And if it's not, then you really run a lot of risk of running into something like Phytophthora root rot. Root rot around here will get a lot of firs that are not grafted onto Abies firma, and Abies firma has been proven through many forestry studies to be one of the most resistant true firs to root rot. So to the extent that you can get your firs grafted onto Abies firma or just grow Abies firma outright, that's going to be a better fir decision than taking a risk on some of these other exotic firs that come from more northerly climates. And just as a reminder, the reason Abies firma rootstock is so good is that it's a fir tree from Japan that grows at relatively low elevations and tolerates heat and humidity more than most firs would. Well, here's something truly exotic that I did not expect to see. Want to take any guesses? Let me find some foliage to look at. What do you think that is? That is, in fact, an incense cedar. California incense cedar, Berrima gold cultivar. Pretty large specimen for $3.75, and in the past I was almost tempted to buy one of these. A smaller one, of course, but I read up online and saw that they do not do well in the southeast. This is more of a west coast Mediterranean climate thing. Let me show you why. Take a look at all the brown and burnt foliage. This variegated cultivar of incense cedar is not nearly as robust as the green incense cedar, which I've had a lot of success growing. And you see they've had to trim the top out of it here. Literally cut the top out of the tree because it was so badly burned by the heat. So definitely avoid the Berrima gold incense cedar, and definitely don't buy a large one for $350. This place also has a large selection of Distillium. And this is the Linebacker Distillium, so more vertical. And you see these at Lowe's sometimes, but the problem is they are not cold hardy. And mine was killed in the flash freeze last December. So if I were you, I would pick different broadleaf evergreens instead of Distillium. Clayera is another one you see a lot of, but they are also not cold hardy. Yeah, here's an entire universe of variegated Clayera, and none of them can withstand negative temperatures. So don't waste the time on Clayera in Tennessee. And the last one I'll show you here is the Hicks U. This is a pretty large specimen for $150, and although I do like the U and the Hicks U, a lot of people don't know that they can also be eaten by deer. So unless you have a way to protect your Taxus media, I guess it's a hybrid. It's really a hybrid between the English U and the Japanese U. Unless you have a way to protect your U from deer, then I would avoid spending a lot of money on a large one, and maybe buy a really small one at Lowe's and see if it can grow and see what the deer do to it. If you want to avoid the deer question entirely, then the alternative is to get one of these. This is a plum yew. So the genus is not Taxus, the genus is Cephalotaxus. Okay, there's the tag, Cephalotaxus harringtonia. This is the fastigiata, so the columnar upright form. Personally, I like the regular standard tree form better than this, but if you're looking for a shrub, maybe you want this narrow growing upright form. But this will not be eaten by deer. So to the extent you have deer roaming around eating on things in the wintertime, avoid the Taxus and go for Cephalotaxus. And they're both called yews in the trade, so you're going to have to look at that Latin genus name to know what you're getting, whether or not the deer will like it.